I'm assuming you are iCivics. There you go. All right.
Yeah, can everybody see that?
Yep.
All right. Well, thank you very much, Stephen, for doing this. To everybody on the phone, and I don't know if Annette's joining on this one or not, but the Florida Joint Center has been an incredible partner for iCivics, and I highly recommend you encourage your teachers to check out the resources on their website. They're great at professional development, and particularly on iCivics. And Stephen, thanks for lending us your expertise today.
My pleasure.
For the state coordinators on the call, thanks for making the time. We will also get this link out to everyone who couldn't join today. This is meant to be for you, since most of you are new to iCivics, but not necessarily the role of state coordinator. So we'll be walking a fine line today. What I want to start with is to give you an overview on our current structure right now, because it may have changed since you've either last interacted with us or it may be entirely new to you. We've restructured a lot of things over the course of the last year, so we wanted to give you an update on that. Discuss how communications between you and the national office, which basically is me, will go. Overview expectations and some sample activities, and then turn it over to Jen, the team in Arizona, who's going to get even more specific for you on their training program, some things that you can consider. So, why are you here? Most of you came from the Center for Civic Education Network that had a very large grant behind it, provided all of us, and I'm one of them, a pot of funds for us to travel our states and train teachers. iCivics does not have that. So when we started, we had field network groups that were very much isolated from the national office and from each other. We had the IADC coordinators, we had the state chairs, we had a teachers council, but direct interaction was very limited because by design and necessity at the time, the staff was very much focused on making the game. As you remember, when we started with our course, it's 2 games. We are now at 20 games, over 120 lesson plans, with an entire semester's worth of content. And so they really turned out a lot of product that didn't need any time or money to really support the field. But growth has made that change totally necessary. Here in 2011, we only had 2,700 teachers with registered accounts. We are at over 66,000 now. Most of that growth in the last 2 years. It's been pretty insane to watch, but terrifying because, of course, they want support. So to give you a visual, this is a GIS map, Geographic Information System map, of the zip codes of where iCivics is in the United States, and it's basically everywhere. We are in over half the zip codes in the entire United States. Obviously, where we have broadband access, we have some limited applicability, but we're learning more about where we are, where our registered users are. So this requires a different type of network, and our response to that was to give them some of what you're aware of work from the Center for Civic Education Network, and that's create a family and provide support. When I talked to iCivics teachers when I first got started, what we learned was they didn't have a sense of what it meant to be an iCivics teacher, and we needed to make those connections so they knew what that meant. So if there was another iCivics teacher at their school, they knew how to contact that teacher. They knew who it was. They had a mentor teacher. All of these things that we know work very well for a civics network. So here are the steps that we took. We made a complete accounting where we were of our current networks at the time, and we made a recommendation based on who should do what, as you know. You remember the email invitations we sent out to you. If you want to stay on as state coordinator or ambassador, if you're new to this. And then we recruited in our target states for where we had good connections, which is how a lot of you came in. And where did the dust settle? We now have 35 of the ambassadors who are the previous state coordinators. They're going to focus on fundraising, and that should be of a big assistance to you. We'll talk more about that later. And we are now at 25 state coordinators, I'm happy to say. We're hoping to get to 50 later this year. But only 4 of you came from the previous network. The rest of you are new recruits, new to iCivics Center. Here is a brief look at where our ambassadors are. This changes frequently, and we have more than one in some states. I'll get you more information on who these are and make introductions. And our state coordinators, same deal. We have, looks like California, we're still missing. So here's the goal. Get to all 50 by the end of this year. It may take a while because, again, we are not providing funding support at this time to do this. You're doing this out of the goodness of your heart and the fact that a lot of you currently help civics teachers in your state and are willing to at least absorb iCivics on a minimal level. So for ambassadors, they're going to stay on light maintenance right now. You won't have a whole lot of interaction with them. We just hired, literally yesterday, a director of development, which is great news. And this person is going to interact more with them on the fundraising level and helping you with events and getting you some funding, we hope. For the state coordinators, while what you're doing is a new role for iCivics, we have not had state coordinators in this professional civic educator role before. Definitely not new to most of you. So the general goal, and it's going to be hard to measure, hard to define for a while, but to see what works for you. Provide professional support to our teachers. We give iCivics a trusted physical presence in the home. The teachers know, like in Indiana, it's ASTA at Purdue. And those are two names that civics teachers in Indiana know and love. And we build a sense of community and family in our teachers over time. It's going to take a long time. We've been just a website to them. Now we're engaging more with them as a teachers council, through our state coordinators, now through the ambassadors and on social media, and it's making a big difference. So we know what you do works. So for our returning state coordinators, we've got Margaret on the phone. Beautiful Margaret and beautiful Annette. Margaret has an institute in Springport. She told some of you on a previous conference call, and we'll get those agendas made available to you. Annette travels the state in Florida. She's in Miami a lot. She's helping implement the O'Connor Act and doing some training on that. So these are just some sample activities of people that have done this before. And then we have our new coordinators. Just a random selection here. Tim from Wisconsin, obviously his center on the Constitution, trains civics teachers frequently, and we're going to make sure we find some materials that work well for trainings he's already doing. Asta's doing international training and bringing a bunch of teachers to Purdue. She's also, and I encourage anyone based with universities to do this, working with pre-service teachers and making sure iCivics materials are incorporated into the pre-service classrooms at Purdue University School of Ed. And of course, in Virginia, Bill, he's got a speaker series that he does. He's going to make sure iCivics is a part of that. It's a practical application anytime he's talking about civics. So there's really nothing that we are putting on top of the state coordinator's work. It's what you already do and how you see iCivics fitting into it. And that's what my work will be focused on over the course of the next year, is making sure it's not an additional burden. A little bit more detail about the staff support that you can expect. We'll have this wiki site that you see on the screen, iCivics statecoordinators.wikispaces.com, and I'll have a lot of documents up on there as I continue to collect them. We'll keep doing more of these webinars. Today it's Jen from Arizona. Next time it might be Margaret from Washington. Whatever you find helpful, we can do a webinar and have that recorded for you. Collecting that toolbox of materials, sample agendas, budgets, certificates, whatever you need, the same type of things that you would have from the CPE network days. And of course, as much enrichment and recognition as I can provide you without a budget. So we can put you on our website, get you commendation letters from the Justice, of course, and opportunities for collaboration if we're ever doing anything in your state. So for example, in Ohio, we got a grant and we're able to customize iCivics resources for Ohio teachers. That program is being launched in conjunction with the John Glenn School of Public Affairs in May, and our state coordinator office there, the Ohio Center for Law-Related Education, is going to help us train teachers throughout the fall, and we'll make sure they get a lot of recognition for that. So as we get grants to do things in your state, we will make sure you're, of course, made aware of them and partner with them. One quick update that I haven't talked to any of you about yet that is important is that the nature of my position might be changing a little bit. Now that we have the Director of Development on board, iCivics has a great need to focus on fundraising and event planning, and I have some experience doing that. And so we may move me more into that realm and to focus more with the ambassadors and the state coordinators, but move the Teachers Council to the curriculum team, which is kind of where it belongs, because it should be managed by a former classroom educator, which all of you know I am not. with no love. But the good news is, this is a realm I've been wanting to go into for a while, is that we are talking about having more public events. We get asked frequently from teachers, we want to have some kind of culminating activity, like the mock congressional hearings and Meet the People. And Donna Paoletti-Phillips, who is in the iCivics Network and We the People Network, actually had an iCivics competition at her school that was very successful and included 450 students. Our executive director attended that and is interested in doing that on a national level. And so we're working through the details on that. It's going to take months to do so. It will take funding. But we are moving in the direction of having more public events that you can bring people to, you can fundraise around, students will have a blast at, and they're very, very low cost due to it's just needing a computer lab. So I'll have more on that, but that may become more of my focus moving forward, which would put the state coordinator network on basically like maintenance. I would give you anything that you need when you ask for it. We will keep reporting and doing activities, but there will be no onerous reporting structure. For communication expectations, again, we'll just do general emails as needed. We have the wiki site. I'm going to create that Facebook group that we can use for inspiration, chatting, quick requests, anything that you guys need. Reporting successes and challenges. This is something we very much need to keep justifying iCivics staff time putting it into the state coordinator network. We want to know how things are going. So I have created a state coordinator shared folder, and I will email all of you this link. It is active link to the folder in the PowerPoint. It's just a Word document that you can literally open on your computer, find your name, hit enter, and just type. We just want it to be something once a quarter that you go on there and say, I had 2 trainings, this went really well, I recommend somebody else try it, I struggled with this, I didn't have enough brochures. Like, this would be a very easy way for you to do that just once every 3 months. So hopefully that sounds okay to you. We'll give that a shot for this next quarter. So where are we right now? You can see we've done the welcome. We're finishing recruiting, collecting your photos and bios, getting those up on the site. We're going to let teachers know that you now exist, because a lot of civics teachers have been used to not hearing from us on a state level, except for the 4 people who were doing this previously. We want to make sure that gets changed. Setting up the wiki site and completing the list of resources that you guys can all access. Here are some webinars that we're considering doing. Obviously, you're at the very first one. Welcome to iCivics. But I want to talk through a couple that I think will be helpful, how to target your recruiting, how to work on iCivics and after-hours organizations like Boys, Girls, and Boy Scouts. Has been very effective. We had a troop in Indiana who used iCivics for 5 weeks during the summer to get their merit badges. And they played hundreds and hundreds of hours of games. How to use competition amongst teachers, like which classroom gets the most minute play. There are a lot of creative things that you can do that are low to no cost type of trainings, and we'll make sure that we do webinars on those if you find them helpful. Then we'll have some teacher-focused ones that I'll send links out to that you'll all be welcome to jump on. This iCivics has a ton of products, and it's not like there's an iCivics Institute that you can go to learn everything there is about iCivics. Most of the staff doesn't know everything that we have. I should say make a lot of stuff very quickly. And so we wanted to pick out some of the highlights that teachers really, really need to know about. Drafting Board 2.0 literacy. We now have evidence-based document researching for DBQuest, and also impact, how kids can actually solve problems. We have a 9-lesson unit called County Solutions that is basically the iCivics version of Project Citizen. It's free, it's out there. We want to make sure you get trained on it. And of course, general ones. When you're doing a training, you need to be able to tell a teacher, here's how you set up your classroom. Here's how you use all those great tools that are available if you're logged in, but a lot of people don't know exactly how to get their classes set up and get those user IDs. We'll make sure you're trained on how to do that. So we've already talked about the ambassadors. We'll finish recruiting on that in the next few months and get the new director of development on board. I'll make an announcement on that as soon as they clear me to introduce her to you, but it should be very helpful to your work. One thing that I am going to get you, and I've got Texas up here on the screen, are Google Analytics reports of the iCivics activity in your state. So this is Texas usage from the start of the school year of August 2014 up until today. You can see the hot spots right there in the middle of San Antonio and Austin and Dallas, and Houston's a big one. But you can also, I can click on any of these dots and give you more information on that and dial into it. I can also give you top 10. I've just done a screenshot of the top 6 in Dallas. This is the kind of information I can send you. A couple of things that you'll really want to look for are the time spent on site. For Texas, average session duration of 5 minutes is really, really good. The number of sessions, number of new sessions is a big deal. So obviously, Jan's training is working. But I'll get you a report like this for your state. If you're curious of any particular years, I can also compare any 2 periods if you like. So say you do a training next month and you really want to know if it has an impact, I can send you the screenshot of that month and then the next 3 if you want to see if it moves the needle at all. Okay, so that is just the initial presentation. I wanted to give you a little bit of an orientation of what's coming, where we are. Before I turn it over to Jen, I think I'm right on my time, so hopefully, is Jen here now?
I am. I just muted myself.
Okay, no problem. So I don't know, Stephen, if you want to, I can hold questions until after she's done. I'll give you them all at once, if that works. That works the best way. Stephen, are you still here?
Sorry, I was muted.
It's okay.
Yeah, I probably want to hold questions till the end. And I'm
Okay.
assuming, Jen, that you're foundation staff?
I am.
Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and make you the presenter right now if you're ready.
I am ready.
Okay.
All yours, Jen. And just a reminder to everybody, you may want to mute your screen except for, or your computer except for Jen. You can still hear a little bit of an echo on your phone.
Okay, so I'm assuming everyone can see my screen. Erin, do you see the iCivics Arizona as a full PowerPoint, or do you see it with the slides down the side?
I see it with the slide down the side.
Okay, that's fine. I have 2 computers, and sometimes one computer pops up that's seen, and sometimes the other one pops up. So we'll go with this one. That works for me. Okay, so I'm going to just go through the different types of trainings that we hold. Thanks so much, Erin, for allowing us the opportunity to share what we do, and then also, of course, from hearing from everyone else as we go through.
Yeah, thank you.
Before I get into our agendas, I just want to explain real quick what iCivics Arizona is, because you're going to see it throughout, and it's just a little confusing if you don't know what I'm talking about. So quickly, our iCivics program here in Arizona, what we use to promote iCivics.org, is funded by our Arizona Supreme Court. We've been extremely fortunate to have their support and their partnership, and we're really excited about continuing our partnership. So under the iCivics Arizona, we have also partnered with McDonald's, and they give free fruit smoothie coupons for every 200 minutes that the students play that are in the public schools. It's a little different for our detention centers. We have a statewide competition based off of this, and the classrooms with the most minutes played, we have 3 rounds of competition. So 3 times throughout the year, you can win a pizza party, a $250 Amazon gift card that we ask that they use towards their classroom, and then also a refurbished tablet for their classroom. So multiple, you can win. We have 1 teacher that wins every round. 3 teachers win per round, and then there's a grand prize overall. Additionally, if you are a iCivics Arizona site at your school, then you get a $100 stipend for completing certain tasks for iCivics. We're just trying to get people to use this amazing website, and this is our 5th year, and it's been going pretty amazing. We're enjoying it, and we're enjoying getting new partnerships using iCivics. So that's a quick overview of what iCivics Arizona is, and you'll see that throughout the agendas and the slides that I'm showing. So we have awareness session agendas. We have a 1-day training, a full day. We have a detention center training, and then we also have a summer institute. We did our first summer institute this previous summer, and it was pretty exciting and a lot of fun, so we're hoping to continue that. So I'm going to go through in that order the different types of agendas that we provide. So our awareness sessions are about 2 to 3 hours in length, and Usually this is at a conference, an education conference, ACSS, different conferences throughout the different cities that they hold. We have colleges that contact us and ask us to go speak to their pre-service teachers. We have district in-services, whether we ourselves go out and talk to the teachers during their in-service, or we have teachers there that are experienced iCivics teachers and they hold the in-service for us. We have a flat rate that we pay people to provide these. So I'm oversee the training in our department, in our organization. So I don't typically go out and do these, but we have experienced educators that go out and we just pay a flat $150 for them to go out, and that includes their mileage, and they go to wherever we're asking. We have several that we choose from. We send it out, who can do this, and then they, usually it's whoever's closest to it. They'll head out there and they'll implement the awareness session. This focus is just a snippet. Obviously, there's not a whole lot of time. Generally, it's more around 1.5 to 2 hours. We're hoping for 2 to 3 hours in length, but for our awareness sessions, it's usually between 1.5 and 2 that we can actually get. We shoot for 2 to 3. But the focus is on just an introduction, get them excited about it, and encourage them to come to a full-day training where they get a lot more information and a lot, an in-depth look at iCivics.org. So this is just a snippet. So I was just going to show a quick. Our agendas are pretty thorough because we use them for other people. We step by step everything that we want them to do, but we just do a very quick what is iCivics.org. We actually have the educators get on, and it's kind of like a scavenger hunt, and they go through and they try to find specific things throughout the website, and then they report out and share and educate others on the specific area that they covered, that they researched. We have them play a game, and then we also have them, we facilitate an actual lesson with them as if they are the students, so that they experience what a student would experience. So we have a game that they have them play. This one is Do I Have a Right, just because it seems to be a favorite. We chose that one, and then we implement a game to show them how they could use both and get them excited about both, so they kind of experience both. And again, this is that iCivics Arizona piece that I was talking about. So that's just a quick, hi, we're here, we want you to use iCivics, this is a wonderful tool kind of agenda. Moving on to the one-day training, this is about 7.5 hours in length. Of course, it depends on how much conversation is happening, how many people we have. We include a 45-minute lunch in there. These are typically held at our office because we're a central location. Every once in a while, we'll head out to a school. If they have 10 or more teachers that are willing to attend and interested, then we'll go to the school district and we'll hold our training there. Per person, this is $125 per person. So this is a little bit different. We do pay our faculty to go out there. So the $125 includes payment of the faculty and includes all the costs that goes into holding that training. The training for them, though, is actually free because we have it funded through the Arizona Supreme Court. So they don't actually have to pay that. But if we were to break it down, if we were to charge them a cost, it would be $125 per person. So that's how much it costs us to host the training, depending on how many people we have. So with this agenda, we're focusing on getting them knowledge on how to utilize it in their classroom. So we're giving them lessons, we're giving them the ability to navigate the website and brainstorm and figure out how they can use this to supplement their classroom and not make it an additional burden. What we hear from teachers when we survey teachers is that they don't have time, like they don't have time to take something new on. So we try to show them how this will enhance their classroom. It will help in their classroom. It's not a burden to include iCivics. So we try to, through this one day, show them.
I'll have to get back to you on that. I'm actually on a webinar. That's okay. That's okay. Let me think about that.
Okay, and so with our one-day trainings, we provide breakfast and lunch. We do give them some additional resources, which is up to $50 per person. So we may give them some teaching tools. We may, like they have those clever catch balls. We have different curriculum. We love the Bill of Rights Institute. So we utilize some different areas out there to help them implement iCivics. We do provide professional development hours and substitute reimbursement up to $100. So our lessons, because we're kind of unique in who we tailor to, the lessons fit under one umbrella. So maybe we're focusing on that training the judicial branch. So we play games and implement lessons that fall under that area. Next year, our focus is to help our state. I don't know if anyone heard, just recently passed a law that all students have to pass a citizenship test in order to graduate. So our focus for next year with iCivics is to implement lessons and games that are going to meet the knowledge that they need for that citizenship test. So that's our focus for next year. We're constantly trying to change our agendas to meet the current needs of the students and the teachers, and that's what their current need is. That's next year the students need to pass this. So we're going to provide all the lessons that tie directly to that citizenship test. So for our one-day training, here's just an example. Again, there's a lot of stuff. This was our judicial branch. This was from before. So you'll see that we do the same. We took the Court Quest game because we wanted to go into the courts, and we made it live. So they play the game in the beginning, and then we have Court Quest cards, and somebody is a representative of a court, and somebody is a representative of a case, and they have to find their correct court. So we basically took the game and we made it a real life game. So they are the avatar. They're walking around and they're trying to find the court that their case belongs to. We've done this with several other games, and it seems to be a big hit with the teachers. They definitely like being able to play the game without being in a computer lab, because unfortunately it's kind of difficult sometimes for them to get into the computer lab. So they like the fact that they can still play the game without being in the computer lab. So we just have some additional, the briefcase break is some different little quiz things that we do throughout the game that tie directly to iCivics. Again, we implement a lesson. We do it as if they're the student so that they can see how it works. And we just take the lessons are kind of lengthy, so we'll take out a specific activity or a specific set. We rarely go through the entire lesson during the training just because we don't have the time, the ability to do that. So we just, again, implement. We try to have the lessons just as they would. We go into the drafting board. It's very important that we show this. We don't do this in the awareness sessions as in-depth just because it just takes a little bit of time. They have a lot of questions. So we try to do this during the one-day training and the Summer Institute, where they can get more information about the drafting board. It is definitely something that the educators enjoy and they like, and they just have a ton of questions about it. We've been very fortunate to get into the detention centers where my background is probation and the detention centers. That's where I came from, and that's where my heart is. So we're trying to get our programs into the detention centers, and iCivics has been a big hit, and I love it. One of the reasons it's been a big hit is because the lessons are so well laid out that you don't have to be, a trained educator to be able to follow the lesson. Additionally, the students love the games. They love the ability to play the games, and they're, being allowed to play, but it's educational for them, and they're learning a lot from it. So our detention center programming and training has grown, and participation has grown. So these trainings are 4 hours in length, and again, a lunch is provided. We usually hold it at one of our detention centers. We have 14 here, and so we do 2 a year, a school year, and they travel to us. If we break this down per person, it's $80 per person. Again, we don't actually charge them that $80, but if we were, that's how much it would cost per person. For this, the focus is just a little, kind of a little different. We want to maintain safety. That's their audience. So we want to utilize iCivics, but still keeping it a safe environment for both the youth and the staff. There are a lot of barriers to getting into the detention centers, so it was a little bit of a hard sell. Fortunately, we have knowledge. I worked in the detention center for almost 4 years while I went through college, and then I was probation officer, so I have a lot of knowledge about how the detention centers work. So we were able to kind of modify things so that they fit for the detention center, and it opened up the doors for us to get in there. Detention centers, I don't know if it's the same across the entire country, but for Arizona, the DOs, the detention officers, are required to do programming with the youth. So they can't just sit there, they can't just watch a movie, they have to do meaningful programming where they're teaching students either life skills or educational based. They have to program with these students, and iCivics fits that perfectly. what we've done, again, we provide breakfast and lunch. We love to feed our participants because then they love us. If you feed people, they love you. We also provide them with additional resources up to $50. They get professional development. Theirs is COJET, which is for probation purposes, and they also get travel reimbursement up to $100 because they are traveling to us from throughout the state. They love, love, love when we bring the iCivics games to life. I do have an example of that. So this is the Do I Have a Right game. So we have people, one person would get this card, so there's Deborah. It's directly off of the game. So we had an intern play the game like 5,000 times so that they could get all the information off of the game. So we don't make anything up. It comes directly from the website. And then so either you're an attorney, one of these people, or you're a client and you have a case. And they have to find the correct attorney. The attorney then says, yes, I'll accept your case based on their specialty, which amendment they specialize in, or they say, no, I'm sorry, I can't take your case, and then they send them on to continue to look. So they're still learning. It's just how they would learn from the game, but they're learning it in real life. This is perfect, perfect, perfect for our detention centers because one of their barriers is the inability to get to the computers. The students in the detention centers can't just get online. Another thing which is fantastic for iCivics, they were wonderful in providing those CDs because our detention centers can't get online. They're not allowed to because they get on Facebook and Instagram and everything else. So they're not allowed to get on the internet. So we use the CDs that iCivics provides, and they're amazing, and we love them. We also love them for the public schools because there's lots of students in our area, at least I'm not sure how it is in yours, that they don't have the ability, like their students don't have the internet at home. Maybe they have a computer, but they don't have it hooked up to the internet because when times are hard, you get rid of things that are not a complete necessity. So their students may not have internet access. So they'll let them check out the CDs, which has been really great for our students to be able to participate in the iCivics program. Another thing is we have to modify the lessons. For example, some of the lessons call for cutting out things. Well, these kids can't have scissors. So that's something we've had to change. We've had to modify for low reading levels. Not all of these students have completed their school or up to date for their current grade level. And then we also have a lot of language barriers. So not just in our detention centers, but in our public schools, there are students that English isn't their first language. So we've come up with different interactive ways to help with that language barrier because that has definitely been an issue in our schools, and especially our detention centers. So we've had to come up with different strategies to get into those schools and to work with those students.
Just a quick note before you transition. I just want to make sure everybody does have their computers and phones muted. We're still getting a bit of an echo for Jen. Go ahead, Jen.
So you can see it's pretty much the same. We always go into why iCivics, why it's fantastic and amazing. So we always start the training. So even though it's a detention center training, we start off the same when we get them hooked on, why iCivics is amazing. Again, we start with a game where we have them play it online, and then we give them the opportunity to play the game in real life. We did this for Law Day with Argument Wars, and it was a huge hit. The attorneys and the teachers loved it. So we've tried to bring more of the games to life where they can do it in the classroom without the use of a computer. So then we teach them how to do the game or how to do the lesson and just go right into it. We've changed it for the application for a detention center where they've played the game on the computer, they've played the game in real life, they've gone through a lesson. Now how do we get them to apply iCivics to their detention center? Because it's just like with schools. Every community is different. Everybody's community needs are different. The students are different. So we have them sit in their groups in their team. Usually they come with one or two different teachers or one or two different DOs, and we have them work together, and they go through. We print off the lesson that we just went over. In this case, it's You've Got Rights. And we print it off, we give it to them, and we ask them, go through, underline, circle, areas that you would change, that you would modify, what works, what's a struggle for you. And if they can't come up with solutions to their barriers, then we do it as a group. Because the last thing we want is for them to not utilize the site because they have one issue when there's something that we can do to resolve it. So we're trying to do whatever we can to overcome any barriers that they may be having for their implementation and teach them how to modify it so that it works for their group. that seemed to be, we just did this actually last week, and it seemed to be one of the best parts because they really learned how to modify it on their own without us having to tell them how to do it. So it was pretty fantastic on our end. We only do it for 4 hours, so we play another game. We brought Responsibility Launcher to life. We do not throw anvils at people, but instead use like these little balls and they shoot baskets. But it seems to do the job. They love the physical activity and the competition of it all. And then we play, go into a lesson, and again, we take it back to application. Now you've learned this, how do you get it into your classroom or into your unit? Because this is a detention unit. So those are our detention, our awareness session, our one day. Last year we did the Summer Institute for the first time, and we partnered with the Sandra Day O'Connor Institute. It was fantastic. We were able to hold it at a resort, and we had 25 participants attend. They were able to stay at the resort. This focus was definitely different. What we did is we wanted to make sure that all of the people who came were provided information on how the lessons and activities on iCivics directly met their needs in regard to the college and career ready standards, which to everyone else is called Common Core. So I'll just go with Common Core, but in Arizona we've changed the name. So our Summer Institute focused on the Common Core and showing them how iCivics met that need, because they have to implement lessons that meet the Common Core. So the entire 2 days, most of it, was about helping them see that this was an advantage to them to implement iCivics and not an added burden of all the millions of things that teachers have to do in the classroom. This was something that was going to help them meet their goals and their requirements. So that's what the focus was on the Summer Institute. It was also pretty fantastic for them because they got to meet Justice O'Connor. She came, we had a reception with her, and so they got to take pictures with her. He wasn't the Chief Justice at the time, but he was transitioning into the role. Chief Justice Scott Bales was in attendance. He's extremely supportive of iCivics and civic education in general, and it was really exciting for the participants to be able to have that waiting list for the Summer Institute, so it was pretty fantastic. We challenged the participants to take the knowledge that they learned over the past day and a half. We then turned it into them becoming the faculty and doing an awareness session in their schools or their district for iCivics to encourage iCivics in their area. So they were tasked with that to go back into their schools and implement in their schools and hopefully get people to understand what an advantageous tool this is. iCivics is just amazing, iCivics.org, and we're hoping that more people will receive word about how fantastic it is. And that's it for all of our, I can show you the agenda. This one's a little longer. Obviously, it was 2 days, but I don't know that you guys have time to read all that because it's a little bit longer. But we definitely spent a lot of time on the Common Core and showing them how it meets their need and it works for them in the classroom. So that was the focus of that. I don't think it will be the focus for this year if we're able to hold the Institute once again, but it will definitely, we always have one central focus and everything aligns to that focus. And that's all I have, Erin. I think I did my 10 minutes. I might have went over. I'm sorry.
Oh, you're good. We started just a few minutes late. So thank you so very much for doing that. For everybody on the phone, we will, of course, make all of those agendas available to you in a link along with any of the materials that I referenced, including your state report. So you should be getting information overload here relatively soon. So I guess we can open it now. We're just a minute over. Stephen, I want to make sure we're not going to ruin your day if we go a few minutes. If there are any questions, I know I've got 2.
No, it's fine. Good to go.
Okay. So are there any initial questions? I can hold mine if people have questions for Jen or myself.
Jen, I have a question on the iCivics Boy Scout merit badge.
Uh-huh.
Do you have information on that?
Yes.
Okay, and Erin, can you send that out to everyone? I know that's, there's a law badge they have, but I've never, I would like to know how that could be implemented and things like that. So I have a lot of Eagle Scouts.
Yeah. I will definitely send that out. The little bit that I know of, we had a grant to do something in Indiana through the Joyce Foundation, which is actually based out of Chicago. And so we did a training very similar to what Jen did, but more general on iCivics. And then one of the after-school leaders, and you may remember we worked with them, Frontiers International, so they work with urban and inner-city kids. And one of them was a Boy Scout troop leader as well, and he put it into their summer camp. So I will get specifics from them on how they made that happen, including any agendas, where their computer labs were and how they made that work, and I'll get that out to all of you. It was great to hear, along with a lot of minutes.
Maybe one other thing I was wondering, the detention students, you travel to their classrooms, correct?
Say that again, I didn't quite get that.
You travel to their classrooms, they don't travel to you.
Right, is that to Jen?
Yeah, when you do the detention center, the children go to their detention facility, right? Or do they come to you somewhere, a venue you pick?
Gotcha.
Yes, all of our trainings are train-the-trainer model, so we provide our training directly to the educators. So in this case, for the detention centers, the detention officers, and then also the teachers that are in the detention centers. So we don't actually work with the students, but we definitely travel. We send it out and we say this is what we're doing, and we need 2 people to host this. So sites that have a large amount of staff that would like to learn iCivics, we tend to go to their facility, and then everyone else drives to us, and that's why we provide the mileage reimbursement for them, because sometimes it's kind of far. Arizona's kind of spread out.
Okay, thanks.
This is Jackie from Colorado. Can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead, Jackie.
I'm interested in, I was really intrigued with the adaptation for the detention center of the one game, I think it was Do I Have a Right, when kids don't have computers to, participate, that your staff, it appears, has adapted it so that they don't need the computers. And have you done any others? Have you adapted any other of the interactive games to, situations where computers aren't available?
Yes, we've done Do I Have a Right, Court Quest, Responsibility Launcher, and Argument Wars. Those are the 4 that we've done, but we've had both detention and public schools that have been really seen that favorably, because they can't always get into the computer lab also.
Exactly. So how can I get copies of those adaptations?
We can, is that fine, Erin, if we post that also in that?
Okay, yeah, we send me everything you have, and I'll put it up into the wiki site.
The other thing is that it might be just the kind of the taste of the program that teachers would need to then go on and use computers. Sometimes teachers, if you throw them into a technology setting, not all of them are comfortable, but this might be step 1, to make them more comfortable with using computers in social studies. So anyway, I think there's a couple of ways in which the adaptations would be particularly helpful for teacher training. So any help that you can send my way, I'd appreciate.
And this is Erin's quick note. I've done trainings before, and several times the internet's gone out, people's computers don't work. It would be a very good backup to have with you, or if you just can't afford to pay whatever that conference center is charging for Wi-Fi or a computer lab, it would be a great way to get people at least interested. So then definitely send the adaptations, and we'll make that available to everybody.
That's great. I think we've learned also from the field over the years that what's good for detention center settings is just as good, in other settings. So that's really cool that you guys are making those adaptations, because I think they'll be useful, for everybody. Thanks.
Thank you. We've gotten a lot of really great feedback. We have student surveys that we distribute after they've done work with iCivics, and the students have really enjoyed iCivics.org. So I'm really excited. They've mentioned how much they've learned. The staff have mentioned how much they've learned. So really excited about implementing with them.
Hey, great. Thank you.
And Jen, this is Erin. I've got a question, two actually. One, we have a tribute event for the Justice coming up, and if you happen to have any stories of detention center students, you know, of the iCivics age, middle school through early high school or whatever, that has had a powerful impact on them, I know the Justice would like to hear about it. So if you can email me offline of anything that you can think of along those lines, that'd be helpful. We'll make sure she hears about it. It is awesome what you're doing there. And then also, I like that you built in accountability into your institute. So something that I had been experimenting with back in 2010 when I was leaving Indiana. We the People, our last institute, we were holding them accountable for getting a set of textbooks and actually doing the congressional hearing. It's much more difficult with iCivics since it doesn't have a culminating event. So I loved your idea about having teachers do an awareness session of their own, either in their school or throughout the district. Do you have any sense yet of how that's going?
We gave them a stipend too, so they didn't just do it.
That'll do it.
Yeah, they got a $100 stipend to implement in their schools, and they did have a requirement where they couldn't just do it for their fellow buddies sitting next to them. They had to actually have 10 or more teachers that they were doing it. So they had a few requirements, and it's still ongoing throughout the year. Initially, we wanted it just in the beginning of the year, but it was really hard for them. You know, there's all these in-services at the beginning of the year, and then being able to get in there. But we had 25 teachers at the Summer Institute, and they were just on fire, of course, at the Institute, and it didn't go as much as we wanted to throughout the school year. But I continue to get communication from teachers saying, don't give up on me, I'm planning it on this date, you know, we have this in-service, so they're still working on it. I would say we've already had, and then combined with what we're going to have, around 12 teachers that implemented an awareness session in their state, or in their district. 25.
Gotcha. That's not normal, I would say. That's great. Okay. Are there any other questions? All right. Well, we have a lot of stuff to get you. I know from my end, I'll make sure that you get those Google Analytics reports that I referenced, and that the wiki gets set up soon so we can get all of Jen's great materials on there, along with all the materials that those of you who have been training on iCivics for a while sent us, including Margaret and Jane and Annette. Thank you so much for sending in the agendas that you had. We'll get that all compiled. So the wiki site, hopefully within the next few weeks, will be up to date with the materials you can play around with. And we'll do more of these if you found it helpful. I just don't know about frequency yet, because I don't want to burden you, but at least they'll get recorded and you can watch them on your own time later. And of course, to Stephen and the Florida Joint Center and Citizenship in Florida, you were awesome for doing this for us. Thanks as always. We'll hopefully do this again.
Our pleasure. Everybody have a great day.
You too, and thank you, Jen. That was awesome.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks.
All right. Bye-bye.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.